Good morning, and thank you for joining me on this lovely Thursday afternoon, or Thursday morning, excuse me. I am Amanda Medic, and I'm your Corporate Accounts Manager, and we will be looking more in depth to the Contact Manager today. I received a call from Ron Russell that stated he wanted to perform a specific function and he didn't think the system could. So we just want to make sure everyone is fully informed on the product and all of its features, specifically the Contact Manager. The Contact Manager can be the most ominous part, and it can be scary clicking around and knowing all that can possibly happen within that specific feature. So again, I just wanted to start on the SharperAgent.com/Russell page. This is where you can go ahead and activate your account if you have not already, and also you can sign in. And if you have friends in the office that are not yet activated their account and are not yet on the system, send them here. You have a number of different tabs to show you kind of an overview of all that the SharperAgent system has to offer. So also, I'd like to let you know that on the right-hand side, on that GoToMeeting pop-up thing that popped up, there's a question bar in there. So if I'm going too fast or you have any specific questions, type it in that box and I'll try and answer them as quickly as I can. So let's jump into our SharperAgent program. I've already logged in, so I'm going to jump into our program. And as you can see on the left-hand side, I have all of these different tabs, all which are going to guide me throughout the program. So we're going to concentrate on the Contact Manager today. So we're getting back to the basics, and we're setting up our contact management system so that we can distribute these in a number of unique ways. First, let's get organized. So Contact Manager tab, as we have seen before, if you've joined me before, I not only have the tabs on the left, very intuitive system, I also have these buttons on the top that can guide me through all of the different features the Contact Manager has to offer. This first button, Contacts, it's going to show me a list of every single contact I currently have in my system. So as you can see, I have a total of 6 currently in my Contact Manager. Groups, you can see that I've already created some groups, and some of these groups were already defaulted. So I created the walnuts. That's my cooking club. If I check mark the walnuts, I can show contacts that are in that group. I'm going to click Show Contacts, and it looks like I have a total of 1 contact in that group. I can always click back to Contact Manager to go to the main site again, or I can use these buttons to click throughout all of the different features. They're always going to be up there. So I can check mark a number of these groups at a time. Or if you'll see on the right-hand side, I have action items. So I can send this entire group a marketing email, which would be a marketing piece. Maybe I have a listing flyer that I want to send to that client group. I'd simply click Send Marketing Email. Find my flyer. May it be a pre-built piece that I have not customized or a saved piece that I have already customized. So for example, those flyers. I can always click back to Contact Manager to get me back to the spot that I'd like. Again, I can also send a text email, which is going to be an email that looks similar to what you'd send from an Outlook or a Gmail. I can add notes to this entire group. I can add an important date. Say I know that, I can add that important date. So maybe I know that this client group is having a spring festival and I want them to be invited. So I'm going to add that important date, or they're hosting it, so I want to be reminded to go to that. Add that important date. I can schedule a meeting for an entire group, schedule a phone call, task, print letters, labels, print contact information, download these contacts, and save mailing lists. Download contacts is basically letting you know that your contacts are not stuck in the system. At any time, if I just needed a list of this specific group, I can download those contacts. 2 simple clicks. Find all the fields available that are offered. Maybe I just want this group's first name, last name, email, title company, address, and that's it. I can highlight all by selecting all, or I can highlight anything I'd like by clicking Shift and simply clicking on that information I'd like. So I want to select these fields, so I'm going to move this information to the right. So I just told the system, hey, these are all the fields available in the Contacts Manager that I could export, but I only want these, so I'm going to put those in the Selected Fields column. Once I do this, I click Done. I simply click Download, and at the bottom of my screen, I now have a spreadsheet full of all the contacts that are in that specific group. So, very intuitive. Choose the actions below. That's just working within groups. Going back to contacts, if I click on a person's name, I have different action items than if I check mark. These have to do with, if I check mark, it allows me these options to work with multiple contacts. Rather than clicking, I'm working within that single contact. So as you can see, I clicked on Annette Anthony's name. I can see all of the contact information I've already added about her, what groups she might be in, and also action items. Now I can edit this contact's details. I can view all contacts details. I can send just her a marketing email. I can send her a text email. I can add a note. So for example, maybe I just closed her home. I can write that subject in there, and maybe I want to schedule a meeting or a phone call or a task later. I can use this note information for these important dates, schedule a meeting or phone call. I can use those notes, place them in here as well, and say maybe ask her about how her son's football game went, or so on and so forth. So very important. If you are speaking to clients and closing, you're probably not going to remember in 2 months when you try and get back to them, or in a year when you want to follow up and see how the new home is going. Instead of asking, "Hey, how's the new house?" have some notes in there to ask her about her son or kids or cooking club or so on and so forth. So very important to use these. Add important dates, schedule meeting, schedule a phone call, schedule tasks. I can also print a label just for Annette. I can print her contact information, I can delete her, and I can add to a campaign. So I have these campaigns already running. If I wanted to just add Annette quickly to a campaign, I'd simply click on that campaign name and submit it. It's going to tell me that she's a valid contact. I'm going to approve that I want her to be added to that campaign and simply click Add to Contacts. So now that we have seen what the options are for working with multiple contacts and working with a single contact, the action items, it's also important to note that these buttons down here, as they may be similar, all of them except the View Emails is similar. So by clicking on View Emails, I can see all of the emails that I've sent to Annette. If it was a campaign, meaning there probably were multiple contacts, I can click on the date and time sent, and I can see if Annette opened it and what email address I sent it to. Also, I have this View Group Email Report where I can click on that and see everyone I sent it to and if they've opened it yet. So as you can see, I sent it to these 4 people. All 4 of them opened and the time that they opened it. So working with single contacts and working with multiple contacts. Do we have any questions so far about working with the contacts? Not yet. All right, excellent. So now let's jump into our additional buttons. Find Contact. I love Find Contact, and you can make it simple and search by specifics, or I'm going to go ahead and click Select All so you can see all the fields that you can search by. So I'm going to click Submit. So maybe you have this long unorganized list that you've exported from Outlook, and you do have that company field filled out. I see a lot of people search for that so that they can better group and target. If you're maybe recruiting, I can search by an email. Maybe I have no idea who sent me this email, but they're probably in my contacts manager. Copy, paste that in here. So contact information. I can search for contacts added between, contacts modified between. I can show contacts with valid email addresses, show contacts with invalid email addresses. So maybe I have a group of people that I have direct mail addresses for and I don't have an email for, and I slowly want to reach out to those people to gather that information. I can find all of those people without email addresses. I can show people who have unsubscribed from bulk emails. This is used a ton. I can show contacts who have subscribed to bulk emails. So there is lead generation capabilities within the system, so you can see who's subscribing to your emails and what source it is coming from. So if it's coming from Facebook posting or something you put on Craigslist or that e-newsletter button you put on your website, I can see who those people are and target them better. Birthdays, anniversaries, closing months, who they were referred by. I can also search by groups and interests. So if I'm adding my contacts and I'm putting those notes in and I'm being very diligent to ask people what they're interested in, what they want to hear about, I can search and target those people and add them to a campaign. I can show contacts not in a group so that I could possibly get those people into a targeted group. Fiscal responsibilities, loan amount, interest rate, date and year that they purchased their home. I can search by secondary contacts and also phone numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and choose a popular one, which would be maybe invalid email address. I simply check mark, I click search, and now it's going to show me that of those contacts, I have no invalid email addresses. So finding a contact, searching through your contacts, allowing you to better target specific audiences by grouping them. So very important. Adding a contact. This is where we can add a contact manually. So I'm going to put Jane Doe in here. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, and I say this every time I do a webinar, but if you have the information already at your hands, you might as well put it in. It's going to save you time later, and it's just a more efficient process. So I know that Jane Doe is an agent. And I maybe don't want to fill that out, but I know she works for Russell. I do have her address, and I'm just going to do 5975 Main Street in Russell, Ohio. I'm not sure if there is a Russell, Ohio, but I'm in Denver, Colorado, so I'm not too familiar with the whole cities in Ohio. But I know you guys are in Ohio. And I'm just going to put 12345. And I do have Jane's email. It's jdoe@russell.com. So I have all of this information. I don't have a phone number yet, but maybe I'm going to send her a campaign to that email address I do requesting more information. So I put in all of her information. Now, again, action items on the right-hand side. Now, how do I want to work with this contact? Do I want to add personal information like their birthday? I know Jane's birthday is January 31st, 1978. She's not married, so I'm not going to put an anniversary in there. I can also add consumer information. I just closed Jane Doe, so I'm going to put 1/31/2012. So now I know that her closing date, closing went well, single female buyer, first home. So I'm going to add notes regarding her home purchase date and how the closing went, what group I maybe had found her through. Maybe I sent out a campaign for just single female home buyers and I had a whole list. This is her first day. I closed this. So now this is important that I have this information because now, like I said, we're not going to get into campaigns, but know that they're available, and there are campaigns that you can set up for 5, 10 years that they're going to get a card, be it direct mail, directly mailed to their mailbox, or email every year because I included this information. So consumer information, maybe she has a sister that's looking for a home, but she's not sure. She's kind of being a looky-loo right now. Maybe I just want to add her as a second contact rather than her own contact. I can add that here, and when I send Jane information, I can set it up so that she receives information as well. So that would happen under email addresses. I could simply put Susan to her sister. Whenever I send her information, I want Susan at gmail.com to receive that information as well. So maybe I know they're both in a cooking club or so on and so forth. So I have that ability to add a second contact or an email address, additional phone numbers. I can add additional mailing addresses. And most importantly, groups and interests. I can group Jane right away. So I maybe don't have the group I want her to be in yet. I can simply click Add New Group, and I can put First Time Home Buyers. Add that in there. Click on that group that I've just created and move that to her selected groups. Same for interests. Maybe I know Jane loves to cook. I'm going to click on that defaulted option and simply move her to the selected interests. I can add additional interests as well. So groups and interests, and before we save Jane's information, I always like to highlight preferences. Preferences is important because at the bottom of each email there's a hyperlink that allows you to unsubscribe from mail. So maybe I sent something to Susan and Susan no longer wants to receive and she unsubscribes from that mail. Know that this allow bulk email checkmark is automatically going to uncheck now. So that means that with this box unchecked, if I try and send the group, the cooking club, recipe email, but Susan and Jane have unsubscribed from the emails, it's going to simply drop them off the list. So you don't have to manually go in here and uncheck that box or delete them or put them in a different group so that they won't be sent to. This box automatically drops them off any list. So you can leave them as contacts in your contacts manager. Maybe they don't want to receive email any longer, but that you have their physical address, you can still send them and they'll still print on labels and you'll still have all of that valuable information. So I'm going to go ahead and recheck that box. Same for if someone accidentally unsubscribed from your emails. For example, my grandmother, I send her my e-newsletter all the time. She's just getting used to the internet and email and all of that, and she's a clicker, so she's unsubscribed from my mail a couple times, and I get calls asking me why she's not receiving any emails anymore. So simply I go back in here, I edit the contact details, I press preferences, I recheck that box, and now she can receive mail from me again. So simply click Save. It's going to bring me back to my brand new contact. Now I can see all of the contact information. what group she's in, if she has any interests, and now I can start adding, if I already have not, all of these meetings, tasks, notes, so on and so forth, adding to a campaign specifically. Questions so far? Ooh, it looks like I have a question. I'm going to expand this window that you cannot see. And Jeff says that you do not have audio to speak to me. Yes, let me hook you guys up. Jeff, can you hear, do you want to give me a tester sound? I can hear you now.
Okay, all right, very good. I got the managers here as well. We're just all listening rather around one computer and monitor.
Okay, perfect. And if I'm going too fast, let me know, or if you want to see something additionally, let me know.
Can you, Amanda, can you show them where notes are at on each contact?
Yes, most definitely. So if we, again, click on a contact, we can click here, View Notes, and I can see a list of notes, or I can add a note here. So if I wanted to add a note for Annette saying maybe, I'm not sure, closing, thinking.
Amanda, is there any limit to amount of notes you can put in there?
Not that I know of. So that I don't see any limits.
Are the notes dated, or do you need to date them?
They are dated. So it's going to show me that header that I just put in, and it's going to give me a date and time that I entered it. And then I can always go back in here and edit that note as well. So saving it, I can see what that header was. I can see the date and time. I can edit it. Maybe I want this to delete this note. I can edit it and simply go in here and delete it.
I have another question.
Oh, yeah.
If I want to delete a contact from a group, when I do that, it deletes them out of everything. But I might want to delete them from the Russell group, which means they left our company. But I don't want to delete them entirely. Now I want them to go into my recruiting group. Is there any way, without re-entering that whole contact, is there any way to transfer them from one group to another?
Yes, and I feel like the easiest way is by simply clicking on that contact. On the right-hand side, I'm going to edit a contact's details. I'm going to go into groups and interests, and here I can move this back and forth. So maybe I don't want them in SharperAgent, but I want them to be in Cooking Club, or same with interests. So I can move them back and forth within clicking on it, edit contact details, and then groups and interests. And then I can save that, and now they're in whatever group I chose.
No, a group.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Amanda, how many other people do we have in this meeting?
We have about 6 people. And I am recording this, so I can send it to everyone after we're done. Any other questions before we import contacts? We ready to move on?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And let me know if any questions come up. I have you unmuted. Okay. So we did finding a contact, adding a contact manually. Let's jump over to manage groups, since this was the most recent question. On the left-hand side are all of the groups, and on the right are areas of interest. So here, if I had groups that I no longer needed, if I click on these, I can edit them or I can delete them. If I click on that and I delete it from here, it's not going to delete all the contacts. It's simply going to uncheck that group from my list of contacts. I can also add additional groups or edit the names, and the same is for areas of interest. So I'm going to jump into importing contacts because I feel like tons of questions come up in importing contacts. Everyone basically has a soft copy or some kind of book of business that's online, and we've listed these sources here, but this isn't limited. So say that you are using Yahoo Mail. We don't have those specific instructions, but if you call customer care, I'm sure we can figure it out. So know that that's always available, and that Microsoft Excel, everything's most likely going to be exported into a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Microsoft Excel because it is the most used. Here it's going to give me not only instructions on how to export and save the file, but how to import as well. So you have those video tutorials, you have customer care, you have me, and you have these step-by-step instructions. So you will not get lost through the process. So I'm going to go ahead and click Next. Now I can add a new group if my group didn't already exist in here. And I have a list of Russell agents, so I'm going to click Add New Group. I'm going to type in Russell. I'm going to click Add, and now it appears in my list. I'm going to have to highlight this so that the system knows this file that I'm about to import, I want it to go into this specific group. So I'm going to check mark that I have a header row, and let's just go ahead and check out that spreadsheet right away. So I'm going to go to my desktop here. I have my Russell spreadsheet, and now I see, okay, I have username, status, first name, last name, email. I already have a header row. This is my header row. I don't need username and status. I'm just going to delete those. So now I have first name, last name, email. First name, I'm going to take out that space because I know that when I import, these are automatically going to go in there. I'm actually going to leave a space between last name so that we can see the difference. So if we correctly put in the headers, the system's automatically going to pull it. So I made some changes, so I'm going to save. I saved it as a CSV, so I'm going to get this warning that says, hey, just so you know, a CSV or a comma separated values file, it takes out all the formats. So if you were using an Excel spreadsheet and you saved it as an Excel workbook, you can format it, put sums, put in all these different formulas, but a CSV, it's going to wipe out all that for me. So I know that. I'm going to click Yes. So now I'm going to minimize that. I'm going to go back to my SharperAgent product, and I'm going to make sure Russell's highlighted. We saw that we had a header row. I'm going to choose the file that I've saved in a place that I remember, which was my desktop. Click on that file, open it, click Submit, and now this is what freaks people out, and it's not that scary. So on the left-hand side is every field name that I can import into the SharperAgent system. So these are all the fields that are available for you to import into. On the right-hand side with these boxes that I can open, this is what's on my spreadsheet. So as I was explaining on the spreadsheet, I have first and name with no space in the middle, F is capitalized and N is capitalized, so the system automatically read that and pulled it automatically. Same for email. It was in that same like source formatting that it wanted. But last name, you'll see it didn't pull. I can open this, simply click last name, and now I've just told the system, hey, I want this field to be pulled into that field, this, that, so on and so forth. So I have all of these different fields that I can choose from. I only have those 3, so I'm going to go down to the bottom and click Upload Contacts. Now, it's going to show me an import preview. So it's going to show me the first 10 contacts that appear on my spreadsheet, and it's just allowing me to make sure, okay, these are the first names, and these are the last names, and these are the emails. They're going in the correct fields. So that looks good to me. I'm going to go ahead and click Accept. Now it's going to give me an awesome list of duplicates. So it tracks 2 options, duplicates that are already in your Contacts Manager and duplicates within the file. So duplicates in my Contacts Manager, I don't want to replace the information that I have on the spreadsheet because I have more information already existing in my contacts manager. So I'm just going to abandon that import. Duplicates within the file. So these people have more than one record already in that file. So maybe I'm going to do a couple of these. You do have to go through here and choose one of them. So I'm simply going to import the non-duplicates and abandon the rest. So on and so forth. And maybe I already have these people. So I'm going to go ahead and click Submit Decisions. And it depends on how big the file is. If you have a huge file, it's going to take longer, just so you know. So I have success. I see that I can click Finish. And now I have 220 contacts in my Contacts Manager. I can click on Groups, check mark Russell, and again, show the contacts that are only in that file. So I have 213. So I just simply imported my contacts. Now I can go through here and add these contacts to additional groups. I can change which groups they're in. So maybe I want Stacy, she's in Russell right now. Edit contact details, groups and interests. I also want her to be in my coworker group. So I can add her to a number of different groups, as many groups as I'd like. Save that information. This guy's name's a little crazy. I'm going to edit it. Save that. Now it's going to appear differently. So that was importing contacts. Any questions on importing contacts? I moved through that kind of quickly, and this seriously is the scariest part that we get the most calls about. So it doesn't have to be that scary, and it's super easy, and what we're trying to do is we're centralizing and organizing your database so that we can better market to our prospects and our clients and staying in touch. So importing contacts. All right, so if I don't have any questions, I'm going to move to the last piece of this webinar. I was trying to keep it under about 40 minutes so that I could answer any questions relating to the program after. So we have imported our contacts, we've managed our groups, and now we can go to Email Tools. Email Tools is awesome because I can now see who my clients are forwarding emails to. So if I clicked forward emails, I could see that maybe Jane Doe sent an email to Susan, and that's how I gathered her information. I'd see what email I sent to Jane, what email address Jane forwarded it to, if that forwarded address had opened it, and if they've signed up to receive further information from me. So a great way for those referrals information to enter your contacts manager. So awesome ROI. I can purchase a mailing list, which is fantastic, and I just had a woman call me the other day who had a great experience with the Thinking of Selling campaign. She had this neighborhood where there were longtime home buyers, and she had a buyer already that really wanted to live in this specific neighborhood, but nobody was selling, and she needed to get her name out there. So what she did is she purchased a mailing list. I'm just going to call this 1. She used a specific address. I'm going to use zip code because a little easier. Next, so what she did was she chose specifics based on that homeowner, and she purchased a list of maybe 100 addresses, and she started sending the Thinking of Selling direct mail campaign that we've already created for her, and within a week or two she she got a call and this person was thinking of selling, and so eventually she had a buyer and a seller. So it all worked out, and it happened partly because she purchased a mailing list. So as you can see, you have a number of different search options that you can choose from. So specifically estimated income range, homeowner or renter. Maybe you're looking for renters. You want to send that rent versus buy campaign to, for example, I live in Capitol Hill, so it's basically all apartments, so we're all renters. So if you're targeting renters with the renter versus buy, you can choose that option. I also have advanced search options. So I can do age range. Maybe I want to go after that older crowd that's looking to downgrade. I can do marital status, head of household, housing type, so on and so forth. I think you can even do Buddhists if you're looking for some Buddhists or any religious affiliated neighborhood advanced search options. So these are 8 cents per contact. Once you purchase them, they are yours forever. And I'm going to go ahead and click search. And like I said, I use my own zip code, so this is probably going to pull 7,000 contacts, so it's probably going to take a minute. So, 87 results. Maybe I had accidentally checked something else. So I can purchase all these results, or I can enter a different amount. All information is up to date. It's from Info USA, so it's a third-party vendor, and this is their only job. So they are collecting tax records and surveys and sending out little surveys all the time and gathering all of this information. Purchase a mailing list. If you have Outlook 2007, I believe, you can sync your contacts, and basically that's the contacts manager. It was a good 35 minutes. Did we have any questions, or can I go back and show you anything else? You can really see your ROI. Oh, and one thing I forgot to point out is these videos are throughout the program. So if you get lost or it's a weekend and you just want to sync your contacts or add an individual contact and you forget how, they're maybe 5-10 minute videos. They're interactive, and they're going to walk you by step through step on how to use any of the features or functionalities. And now we have come to our question and answer session. And thank you, Terry. I'm glad that you had a good time. Thank you for joining me. And Jeff, did you have any questions before we end today? All right. Looks like we've gone silent. Well, I truly appreciate you all coming and joining me this morning for this Contact Manager, Getting Back to the Basics, SharperAgent 101 webinar. And if you have any requests, you want to just do campaigns, or you just want to work within the editor, I'm more than happy to spend another half an hour with you. So if we don't have any questions, I'm going to go ahead and end the webinar for today. I did record this, so expect an email from Amanda Medic or amedic@sharperagent.com. And if you ever need a refresher, it is here. Have a great afternoon.